Hey family, I'm Dawn Stone. I am here today with you and with my co-host, Mr. Chet Owens. Hey
What's
Chet,
going on, Don?
we are doing a thing. We are doing a thing. So we want to introduce you to our concept here. It's our movement. It is called Connect to Connect. And so Chess and I really, I guess we embarked upon this journey a few months ago, but we've been connecting for what, three years
Yep, about 3 years now.
now? Yeah.
Maybe a little over three.
Ex- yes, yes. And so we just want to introduce ourselves to you in the space. We are really two beautiful humans who are living in the states of the United, who have our African roots that have been, something that's been on our mind, right? Like I remember as a kid being the one who really didn't know who she was, right? And so Jess and I decided to come together and just have some real conversations around, our identities, our connection to our countries, and our connection to blackness living here in the United States. Because the only family I knew up until late last year was the family that was tied to me in Tennessee. What about you, Chad?
So I got family all over. I mean, when I say all over, they're all over. But the biggest thing is I grew up with family. I grew up understanding the importance of family. But as far as knowing who I am, all the way down to my bloodline, that's a big disconnect. So yeah, for sure.
Facts. And so, what we're looking to cover during these times with you, we will have a weekly episode. We are those people. We've made a commitment not only to ourselves but to you to embark upon your own journey and kind of see what it feels like to discover who you are and where you come from. Because in chess, I will tell you, even growing up and in school, I literally can count the number of classes I have had about my own history on one hand. What about you?
That's a great question. Honestly, I don't think I've had any encounter, to be real. No, and actually, I'm gonna be honest. You just got me thinking. I remember a time I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old, and I had a family member who is happened to be my father's sister, half sister, and she didn't know who I was, and I didn't know who she was, but I heard she was my auntie, and I remember asking her. I said, "Hey, are you my aunt?" And I remember seeing her face, and it was a lot of. I was happy to connect, but it caught her off guard, and that was like my first piece of like understanding like it goes deep, family runs deep, and when you want to connect, sometimes you open up some wounds that you don't know about.
Whoa, you said a mouthful of chest because what we will be talking about are those wounds, honey. Those open wounds, and sometimes us saying hello and are you kin to me? Are you my family? Are you my daddy? Those types of things come up, and I will tell you on my side too, chest people will look at me as if I was the help or the bastard child. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. So, here's what we want to share with you. We're having real conversations just like that every single episode. And so we want to give you a hint of what's to come. Not only will the two of us walk through our own discovery, our own insecurities, our own questions and answers, we will also bring in other guests, other members of our greater community who are on equal journeys, and also some who are a lot further along than we are. And so our goal is to inspire you to embark upon your own personal journey of discovery. Because what we will talk about here today is that we're both consultants, we're both coaches. But a lot of times, and I don't know if it's like this for you, Chess, but a lot of times I was coaching people and didn't even know who I was. I would sit in the closet and cry from time to time or in a shower because I had no known identity. In fact, funny but true story, the very first book I wrote was in first grade, and it was called A Girl with No
Mm.
Name. And my substitute teacher, I wish I knew her name. You know how we're kids. She said she was going to help me get that book published, and she never did. So today I am a four-time author, one on a bestseller, and then I've got three other books that are doing well. I've got one in rotation in 12 distributions around the globe, actually. So my book is even sold in Asia, and it's interesting to me. But you know what? This is where we are, Shez. This is where we are going, and this is who we are.
You know what?
So, what's been your
And I just gotta
experience?
say this for the girl in first grade who didn't know her name. How many people know your name now? How many people know your name now? And the thing is
There
because
are there are
you
a lot.
continue to talk. And like to your point, as coaches, right? Like we're so used to being able to pour into other people. But I can
Mhm.
relate to you when you talk about, after you pour out, you do go,
Mhm.
behind closed doors and have to deal with like being human. And I think that's why I'm so excited to be on this journey with you because that's how our
Yeah.
conversation started. That's how the podcast got here, right? Like we've always had that space where we can,
Right.
you know, create those pockets of like, hey, I hear you, I see you.
Mhm.
And I think that's what this podcast is all about, being able to identify who you are and not being afraid to let people know. I don't know. Because that's
Right.
what I told you,
Right.
not too long ago. I'm like, hey, I don't know. Like a lot of people know who we are as a person. They know the services that we offer. But like when you pull
Right.
back the layers, not only is it about do you know who you are, the question is do you want to know where you come from? And I think that's the part where like we're gonna
Mhm.
really dive in this podcast and really unlock those things because I think that's our superpower.
Mhm. I agree. And we're going to continue to talk about our superpowers because we're going to give you an idea of what you will get in every session. So when you come in here to the Connect to Connect community, our circle of community, our circle of healing, our circle of love and black joy, you are going to get a ritual. We will open up with something that is from our culture, whether it be a haiku, whether it be a poem, a set of words, a tradition. You will get that from us. We will even bring you dishes. And don't be surprised, Chess, because you know how we are. If you catch us cooking and we're having this conversation as we're cooking one of our traditional dishes, okay? That's where we're going with this here movement. Because it's important for us to understand that we are girded in our own history. We're girded in the strength of our ancestors, and we literally are standing on their shoulders as representatives of the future. And you know, Tess, here it is. We have kids. We cannot afford to let our children not know who they
Yeah.
are. Because I remember being the girl with no name. What's been your experience?
I've been the person who was afraid to identify because it's like you have all of these representatives. So like I grew up in a space where be the best that you can verse and I'm not even gonna say verse, but it was more of a focus on be the best that you can versus be who you are. And that's the journey that I'm on right now. So that's if that makes sense to you, I hope it makes sense to you. But that's
Oh,
been
yeah.
my experience.
Yes, and you know, I'm sitting over here looking at my phone. I wanted to bring up a stat for you and our audience. Did you know that 70% of African Americans don't know their African country of origin?
That's so believable.
Mhm. And you know what's funny, Chess? I think it actually might be a little higher. I think some people lying.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if it's at least about 80%. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a part of that
Yes.
number. I'm a
Oh,
part of that
wow.
number. And that's something that has been a uh, a dream, really, to really identify
Mm.
exactly where I come from. to really make a difference. Like, why do I think this way? Why do I act this
Mhm.
way? You know, like even down to the music, right? Like I enjoy dancing,
Mhm.
I enjoy writing. Why? Where does that come from? And so I would love to know. And obviously, as you know, like I'm on a journey, getting down to the
Yeah,
grain of my existence. So yes,
that's
yes.
right. I love it. And you know what's really going to be nice for us? I was going through everything we worked on up until this point and how not only are we going to be making connections with our own ancestry, that we're also issuing what we call the Connect
Hmm.
Challenge. Every week we will have a Connect Challenge, and that's KIN. We're going to help you find your kinfolk. We're going to help you have those courageous conversations. You know, in my daytime, I'm also known as the conflict chick. You know, I'm all about having those courageous conversations. They're not always careful, they're not always kind, but they will be courageous, right? And they will be kin focused. So we're going to do that and issue a challenge every week to just help you get connected to your people and ultimately connected to your true divine self with all your gifts.
And Don is something so important that I think, you know, issuing these challenges. And I hope that everybody, when you're
Mhm.
listening to this podcast, you make it your business to use these challenges to really connect with your family. Like kinfolk, like how I grew up in the South, I grew up in the country. Grandfather's a farmer, like whole 9 yards. And family has always been important, but we have to like really one of the things that and I believe we're gonna have this conversation is that we gotta have some
Mhm.
true kinfolk conversation because there's a lot of family hurt. And so therefore we come to the table and we talk to folk, but we not having that
Mhm.
kinfolk conversation. And the only way that we're going to be able to break generational curses is that we're going to have some conversation that might upset some people,
Mhm.
but it's going to be able to unlock some freedom within the family. And so don't be
Right.
afraid to unlock some kin pain because it's all there. So I'm just saying, like as you do these
Right.
challenges, and that's with me too. We got to get to the real. We got
Yeah.
to unlock because that's what family is all about. And we're not going to be able to heal as a family and heal as a people if we're not like
Mhm.
getting down to the root.
Right. And you know what? I'm glad you said that because it made me look at my phone to see what we had as our first Connect challenge. So yeah, we just opened the podcast and yes, we just gave you your homework for the first week. So the first week's challenge, the Connect challenge, is this: trace your earliest family story and where the trail ends. So you yeah, right. You already know chess is gonna be it's pressure. So what are your thoughts around that challenge?
I think with this challenge is it's going to take you to be very intentional, very intentional. So set some time out this week on your calendar to really number one be able to connect with yourself because it's going to be hard to connect with other people if you're not present with yourself. So number one, get your mind right for this journey because that's necessary and it's going to be needed so you can be present enough to be able to maneuver through all of this. So I think it's a great challenge, but you got to be intentional and be excited too because I'm excited. Are you excited, Don? I'm excited to be here.
You know, I'm jumping off the screen over here. I am ready. I am ready. As they say, we ready. All right, and we're ready. And so let me tell you a little bit. And I'm glad you brought this up. It's like we will have to start with ourselves. So even some of you, and I've had people that I've worked with over the past, especially clients, right? And they'll say, "I have no family. I have no one," and so they literally start with themselves. If you're one of those people, start with you. It may start with a birth record. It may start with a conversation where somebody told you something. Because, we've given you the call, but now it's time for Chess and I to really kind of break down a little bit more and dig deep into how and why we are here. So I'll give you one of my truths. When in doing this exercise, it's find the earliest family story and where the trail ends. So the funny part about this is my look. If I didn't do my real history, okay, and we're gonna get into that, I think next episode, but for next week. But if I did not already know, do you realize that the only story I had, Chess, is the one that my grandmother told me about her own mother? And so if you think about that, I have children. Then there's me. Then there's my mom. Then there's my grandmother. That's only four generations. That's not very far. My grandmother would be 90, so I only literally have 90 years of storytelling. And you know what I found out? That can't be true, right? It can't be true. And so, you know, having that conversation with the family about, who was your mother? Who was your mother's mother? What other things do you know about the stories that were told to you? How did we get here? So, full transparency, my family was not open at all about any of it. And I'm going to tell you what also complicated it in my life. My dad was the preacher's second oldest son. Okay. So I grew up in a church with people who were my family that didn't talk to me, right? And so people would whisper, and this is what I'm saying for the person who is sitting around in shame, secrets, and solitude, you come on out because we have the tools here every week that's going to help you find one piece of your puzzle. You might be 1,000-piece puzzle. Heck, you might be a 10,000-piece puzzle. But the fact that you're able to take a piece and put a piece together every single day, every single week, every month, every year, every quarter, whatever your time frame is, it's more than what you had. And so we're just grateful for being here and being able to share our real stories. And I tell you, I cried. I cried. My dad is dead. My biological father is dead. But by the grace of God, I was blessed with a bonus father who I call my daddy. And he is who I'm connected to. But you know what, Chess? Since I started my journey again about 10 years ago, I've gotten connected to my biological father's children because that's all who's
Wow.
left. I mean, so when you think about that journey, and like you said with your aunt, I walked up to an aunt a year ago. Yeah, a year ago at my uncle's funeral. And she looked at me like, "Who are you?" In fact, she asked another one of her sisters, "Who is she?" And I'm like, "First of all, I look like you." And you know what I did, Chaz? I was so petty. I said, hold on. I went and texted my mom from the funeral. Okay, he up there stretched out. I text my mom. I said, send me a picture of you with my daddy's sisters in church in front of my grandmother. She said, okay. Sent the pictures through. I turned around. I said, you know who this is? She said, yeah. I said, you see who's just standing beside, right? Yeah, that's Meredith. I said, that's my mama. She go, oh.
Mm.
And that's my grandmama who's leading the little church choir. Okay? So my grandmother was a choir person,
Mm.
the first lady, the 4'11" woman with the mink coat. Talking about you know me, they know me. The black realtor who sued the state of Tennessee because of redlining and gerrymandering.
Wow.
That's who my grandmother was. So when you think about your history, I just wanted to share that one piece of story. You will find out so much that you didn't know. And you think about how these puzzle pieces are connected. I am really good friends with one of the women who was a client of my grandmother. She put her and her husband, and her husband passed away 3 years ago. Jeez, 3 years ago. She put them in a house. So she was the black realtor of
Wow.
Nashville, who was it was her job in the 60s to put black families in houses. You see what I'm saying? That's who I come from. So even if you're looking at four generations, that's still power. So I just want to hope that you will have those conversations, even when it's uncomfortable for some people, so you can uncover your truth and your roots. What about
And
you, Chaz?
Don, you said such a mouthful, and you just when you talked about you reaching out to your mom to send you the picture, it just reminded me of this. So we are in a time now where technology, everything is instant, 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 and we have photos on our iPhones. Unless y'all are Android users, you get to the blue side, become a blue bubble. That's all I'm saying. Maybe this podcast will be sponsored by Apple one day. All right, we're gonna put it in the atmosphere. But anyway, with that being said, because your mother had a photo, you were able to connect with the aunt who did not know you. My question to people, and I want to throw this in this challenge for this week, is to take photos of your family. Because I know me growing up done, and I know for you going back to like our folks' house, to our kinfolk house, with the wooden walls. We got everybody. We got Uncle Donnie on the wall. We got Big Mama on the wall. We got all of these photos of our history. But I think now we're coming in time. We walk in houses now where we don't see photos on the wall, and I think that is a big
True.
disconnect, and something that we have to make sure that we keep, because we need to have proof outside of like the DNA, and we're gonna talk about that, but like having proof, because in that moment, and like you said, you're in a space where you're at a funeral right now, grieving in a space where you're supposed to be around family, but family is not really necessarily connecting with you, and the only thing that you had to even get you some type of connection was a photo. And so like that just opened my mind, because I'm like, even the fact, even down to the part when they took that photo, and I don't even know why they took the photo, but we got to get back to being together again so we can make moments to have photos, because like you said, even though that's only 4 generations, that much because somebody took that photo back then, you were able to gather this information now, and now you got something to carry. And I know that's like off topic, but that when you said that, it just gave me more like insight of like, man, like we're dropping the ball on like making sure we can capture memories and also create them too.
Ooh, capture and create. I think that's a thing. We're gonna hashtag down,
Right.
brother. Capture and create memories.
Yes.
That's exactly what this is about. That was good. Oh, that's solid. No, everything you said is right because man, you bring up a point. It's like, wow, I didn't realize if I didn't have that picture, then what? And so the irony is, I look just like them. Like when you, if and when, no, when I show you the picture of me and my siblings, and then I show you the picture of my mama's daughter, which is my
Right.
sibling, my sibling too. She's also my half, but she's my fool because she's my mama. But anyway, when I show you the picture, you're gonna say I belong more with the others because I look that much like my daddy's people, right? And it's wild. It's wild. It's wild how this works. My cousins, I look like them. They cute. They cute. They just as cute as they can be, and we all look alike. We all have these little eyes. We're all this shade of brown. It is bananas, bananas. Every last one of us. And so, I think it's great. It's great. So, what are you looking forward to with the challenge this week? I know we're getting near the end. We got about 5 or 10 more minutes. We said we're not gonna hold y'all too
Uh,
long. We're not gonna hold you.
I think for me, what I'm looking forward to is being able, giving me more reason to connect with my family, like literally, because
Mm.
it's like, as you know, like you're busy, I'm busy, like the whole world is busy. But I think like this challenge right here is going to give us a moment to pause to make sure that we can connect with our people. And so I think that's what I'm most excited about, to be intentional, where it is on my calendar, where I am going to do my part. Just like we just gave y'all the challenge, we're going to do the challenge, right? We're going to do our part. I'm looking forward to that. Like setting time out to, first of all, like just start the journey of discovery. And I think the first part is putting it on the calendar, like in real time. Like that's where we are in this world in 2025. We got to put things on the calendar like reaching out to family. Now, one thing about
Yes.
it, shout
You're
out to my
right.
mama, because if my mama doesn't hear from me at least 2 days, she gonna call me and she gonna FaceTime me until I answer. That's just my mama. But we gotta be very
Hey.
intentional and make sure that we're picking up the phone, we're just checking on our people. Even if it's just
Mhm.
2 minutes. Hey sister, how you doing? Just checking on you. Hey brother, just checking on you. Cause that's the part where we have to, like, as kinfolk, we have
Mhm.
to hold each other accountable.
Right. So let's talk about that accountability piece because that you just brought up a very good point that I, I I want to make sure our audience understands the reason for us wanting to connect our African U.S. presence to our African country presence. Like those two presents present an opportunity. Because what I will tell you from my research, I was actually literally able to utilize tools that we have access to. Like you said, this technology is amazing. So I literally started doing this work in 10th grade. Okay. So that was, oh, what, over 40 years ago. Think about that. 38 years ago. So the fact that 38 years ago, I was starting this journey, what did I have? Microfilm, the National Archives. I had a couple of yearbooks. And you know what? I'm going to say it, Chess. I had one of those big old fat old school Bibles that my grandmama kept every obituary from doggone it the 1800s to today. And it's still downstairs. Big Mama got it, baby. We got it. Everybody's baptismal certificate, everybody's birth certificate and death certificate in that same big old
Wow.
Bible. So we've got to do that. Like we've got to be super intentional. Thank you for bringing that up. And we've got to understand that it's our responsibility. So we need to take that time. So thank you for reminding us to take the time. So just I'll say y'all give an hour, 1 to 2 hours a week. So you can do 10 minutes per 30 minutes here. Just just write it down. So thank you, Chef. That my brother. That was good.
And you know what? Like, but what you just said, I hope it encourages everybody, because what you said was, first of all, you did this over 30 years ago. And back then, we didn't have Google, we didn't have ChatGPT, and all of these other entities, right? To be
Mhm.
able to get these resources. So therefore, Dawn was doing the work. She's been doing the work. So you guys, you got Google. I was about to say Ask G's, but that's back in the 2000s. But you got all of these resources now to really be able to start from somewhere. So I just want to challenge you guys, like,
Mhm.
don't make the excuse. Like, don't make the excuse. So, like, if you say, "Hey, you're doing this for family," your reason can't be the same reason for your excuse. Your reason cannot be your excuse.
Mm. Ooh, he just walked into it. So what's your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you interested in your history for real? For real?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this, and this is just this raw and real. I feel like if I don't do this journey, if I don't do this journey now, then what's the point of, like, trying to do everything else in life? Like, real talk. Seriously. Cause in matter of fact, just yesterday, I was sitting on the couch, and everything that's been going on in the world, like, it's been a lot of stuff happening. Like, just a lot. But I was thinking about I was looking online and seeing all these things happening and all the followings that people have. Like, they got all these followers. But I was just curious. I said, when a person passes away, and when they're at the funeral, whatever case might be, how many followers are actually connected to you? And so when I say I have to do this, it's because I wouldn't do anybody no good if I don't know who I am.
Look, we gotta let that sit right there. I'm not. You are not doing anyone any good if you don't even know who you are. Man, for the people just logging in, for the people just not getting this, for the people who are going to rewind that there was a bar, my brother, and you are so right. And so now I gotta answer my question.
Yeah, I'm about to ask you.
After what
What
you
is your
said,
why, Don? What is your why?
man, let me explain something real hard. So at first, it was about in high school, it was a school project. Miss Anglin was my English honors teacher in the 10th grade who required us to do this. Okay, black teacher, SG role, went to some historic. She went to HBCU grad, and she was like, "You need to know who you are." And so what was funny, it was a requirement. So you know me, I'm not gonna get no F's because I was, tired of answering questions. So what I did is I ended up doing my history, but because I didn't know my daddy's story or my people, nobody ever talked about it, even though we went to church together. I took my bonus father's family's information because somebody had archived theirs. So I was able to connect it. But you know what? As I got older, true story, my oldest daughter's 23. When she was 3.5 years old, we moved to the West Coast. So she experienced all these cultures and this just influx of just people and culture and identities, and we had Chinese New Year, we had friends from Bosnia, we had all these things. And she came home and asked me when she turned 4, she said, "Who are we and where are we from?" I said, "Well, we're from the United States." She says, "No, what country are we from?" Because I got friends from China. I got friends. She said, "My teacher, her favorite teacher, was from the Philippines." And she's giving me all these things, and I was like, "Well, baby, we're from Africa, but we live in America." And I was just trying to sell her this short narrative, and she just did not believe it. So then one day she sat in the car. I was pregnant with her sister at the time. And she said, "Mama, you know what? I want you when we go get some shoes." It was around Easter. She said her sister was born in May. She said, "Mama, can you pick up some white shoe polish?" I said, "White shoe polish? Your shoes are patent leather. We don't need the shoe polish. We old school, right, from the South." And she said, "No, I want to paint my skin white so I can be like my friends from Bosnia." I said, "Dun, dun, dun." I cried like a baby because I said, my child is trying to figure out who she is. And if she don't have her own identity, she's willing to go and share someone else's. And that's when I didn't perm my hair no more. And I began to start researching my life again, man. And then you know what else? The final reason in this recent time, I had a stress-related stroke in 2021 because our body keeps the count. Now I'm gonna tell y'all that this is another reason why you want to get this history down. Because I now have to take medication, my body rejects medication because it's never had it, and so now I have a um CK. I'm on the bubble for chronic kidney disease. And guess what? It's tied to only my mother. And guess what? I found my mother's dad. So it's tied to them. So if I didn't do this within the last 5 to 7 years, 5 years, because I had the stroke 4 years ago, so I really amped it up after that stroke. I said, we got to know who we are because I got to get back to those homing rituals from Africa and not rely on the stuff that they are giving me because my body is not designed for this stuff, right? Chess, I come from, and I was gonna say this for another episode. I know my people are from Mali. We're northwestern African, so we were the ones that are the camel runners, and we had our own slaves, and we were part of the Turek tribe. We're Iridan clan, so we are royalty. So I literally am royal blood and got it down to the area, the part of the Canada where we were born. So people from Algeria. And so here's the funny part, Chess. I used to think my little straight curly hair, being this complexion, was from my white lineage. It was from my Malian lineage. So I'm more African. And when I thought I was, European. True story. And we're known as the blue people. So we're all complexions. My son is light as you.
Wow. You done said such a mouthful, and like even to the point of like you said you were talking about your health, and oh, that's a whole. We gotta have a whole episode in that space. But I just think about like if you didn't do the work, if the whole thought of you even taking the moment to say, wait, I need to figure out who I am so you could be the almost like the what do you call it? The sunflower. Like when a sunflower doesn't get the sunlight, the other sunflower that got the sunlight will shine. And you had to identify who you are so your daughter could be aware. And because of that, you became aware of different health issues, right? And then, but look what you're doing. You're already blocking a whole generation of health issues because you were able, just the fact that you wanted to take the initiative, and that's so powerful. And I think that's going to really unlock so many things, especially when it comes
Yep.
to our health, because we
Mhm.
know it's there. Like when we come, especially in our community, when we're dealing with diabetes and all these things, like
Right.
we know it runs in the family, but nobody want to pull the pork out. Nobody. We gonna. That's a whole nother episode. But
Oh, that's a whole nother.
the fact is, you have done the work to find out about the work.
Mhm. And we will touch on that because we're gonna hit on pork and being big boned and all that stuff that people like to say. Okay, see that stuff is tied to Africa. So you need to know where your bones are in Africa so you can stop saying big bone because for the most part, African bones are roughly the same length. I'm just gonna tell you. Okay, now where I'm from, our people are taller, leaner. We are, but we're also desert folk, right? So again, if we didn't know this, Chess, and so if I can be petty for a minute, I would never be a girl who is naturally a rump shaker. Our people don't have rumps like
Yeah.
that. We're muscular. We're muscular. We're lean. We're all complexions, and we got beautiful hair. And we roll our tongue naturally because that's the call that we do in ceremonies when our families get married, when people die, and when we're out celebrating. So the whole that right there, that is a
Hey,
part
they
of
just
my
woke me up.
heritage. Okay, man, what you said, and I love it. And me and my kids celebrate often. Like my son likes to get wrapped. He gets wrapped like he's in the Canada, and I will wrap his whole head and everything. And he's great. He's like, don't forget to cover my face. So he knows about what our traditional clothing looks like. We're going to bring that in here. We're going to be doing so much in here. We're going to educate not only ourselves, you're going to educate us, and we're going to educate the world because we will not be lost in this country called America. We are going to connect to the motherland, and we're going to bring in some of our Africans who were born there, who live over here, and some that are born there that are still there. And shoot, let's say we may need to take a trip one day too, Chef. You know
Yeah,
we can
you
do
know we
it.
will. We already global anyway.
Say
You
less.
know,
You're
we already
right.
global. I
Ah,
think
I'm
it
excited, man.
will
I'm
only
so
be
excited.
right to be able to visit, different countries, um,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
that's what it's all about. And that's one of
Mhm.
my, uh, I love to travel. I love to travel, and I think that's why I
Yeah.
like my background in hospitality. But let's say this, like the
Mhm.
biggest thing, and I think this is a good way to like end this first episode. Don't be in a
Absolutely.
space of wanting to travel the world if you're not willing to explore within.
Woo! He dropping more bars, y'all. You
I need to
heard it.
write that down, Don.
You can't
I
travel
don't
on
even know what I
board.
just
You
said.
do. It's already
All
here.
right,
It's
cool.
recorded.
But that's so
It's
true
recorded. It is.
because it's one thing to
It
go
is.
visit a place. It's a lot of great places. God has created so many different places. But if you don't
Mhm.
know the value that you bring to the world, the value that you bring to your own community and also to your own
Mhm.
household, all the way down to the core of you looking yourself in the mirror.
Right. And
The
saying
first
what?
step is knowing that you are the world and that you matter.
Yes.
And that's why you're going to be following
Yes.
this podcast, Connect to Connect, every single week, right? Because we're going to bring, so you
Yes.
can bring life to other people by knowing who you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's review that homework. Just tell them what the homework is. We're going to test
So,
it. What's the homework for this week,
so
fam?
the homework is number one, you need to make sure you set a time on your calendar for this homework, and you want to connect with your family and find a great story. I don't care what it is. Make it fun. Matter of fact, make it fun, because sometimes you can get a story, it might be too deep. Start off light, okay? Start off light. Make it bright for yourself, okay? But find a story. And if you don't have family, create one. Create a story. Create a story that can be passed down and done. Put it all in make it make sense for the people in full alignment with what they need to do from start to finish.
You covered
All
everything,
right.
my brother. So y'all got to tell that
So yeah, just
story.
tell your story. Like literally, like it's not that hard. If you don't have one to tell, just try
Mm-mm.
living. Just try living.
Yeah.
Make one.
Tell your favorite story. That's yes. That's the thing because we are all so colorful. We are not a monolith. We are not um nothing. And I know a lot of times there are people, systems, institutions, places that want to make you nothing. You truly have royalty in your DNA and we are here to help you unlock it. That's that's really our time.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share. All right? Rate this extremely high. They're going to ask you, how was this podcast? Oh, it's one that you want to follow and
Yeah.
listen. Share it, share it, share it. Because we want to get our whole community of cousins connected.
Everybody.
Okay. Any final words from you,
The
Chess?
final words is I'm gonna leave this challenge again just for those in the back that might have turned the volume down when you're trying to order some to go food. All right. Challenge of
Yeah.
this week is make sure you trace your earliest family story, where it started and where it ends. But if you don't have a story, create your own. See you next episode.
All right. We sure will. Thank you so much. Bye.